She's dead, wrapped in plastic. Damn good coffee, and hot. Black as midnight on a moonless night.
Do your palms ever itch? One day, my log will have something to say about this.
It is happening again. It is happening again.
Welcome to this episode of the Twin Peaks Log. It's happening again. I always forget to say that it's happening again with your host, Mark and Becky. Hi, Becky.
Hello.
Becky, you made an appearance in this episode, right?
I know.
So we're in episode 5. We're steaming along. The time's flying. It's flying past, isn't it? This is really flying. We're gonna be at the end of it and be super sad soon. I don't want to talk about it. Right. First up, before we get into episode 5, you had some feedback. That's sort of gathered, isn't it? It's gathered over a bit of time. I have to tell you that the downloads of this is really popular. This is like one of the most popular things I've done on the Good, the Bad, and the Answer. That's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people are into Twin Peaks. That's what it is, right? But it's probably you as well.
No, I think definitely not me. But I think with Chinstroker versus Punter, when they put out that mammoth kind of episode that kind of collects loads of bits and bobs, we've been in that, and I've noticed quite a few people have joined the group since, which is nice.
Yeah, it is nice, isn't it? We just need we wouldn't mind a little more interaction in the group, right? That'd be kind of cool. Yeah. So come and post and say hi, say hello. Who was it? Nick Publicki did a hello. I hope I've got that surname out. I'm really sorry if I didn't. That was cool. Okay, let's give us a bit of feedback then.
So just generally across the first kind of 4 episodes, we had a few comments on, in the group, I should say. And Tim Utton starts things off to say that he actually binge streamed the first 4 episodes, which had the curious effect of potentially hypnotizing me and making me question reality, which I can see.
Lynch does that. I have noticed I have been slipping into sitting in some, the conversation takes a weird turn. And I'm thinking, I feel like I'm in Twin Peaks right now. Just for a split second. How about you?
I want to talk to you, definitely.
Weirdos on the bus, or, there's always something like that, right? There's always something like that. Or strange people in the shop. It's like, there's all that. Sorry, go on.
And he said that, as such, I'm not entirely certain where episode 1 ended, which we talked about, of course, and, how it kind of perfectly complemented episode 2. And I thought it was great that they put them together.
Yeah, they work well.
Yeah. And he said that, in a way, he felt a bit like Coop, trapped in the Black Lodge where linear time has no meaning. I'll admit that part of me was wondering if David Lynch was just taking the piss, or if this was his imagination completely unleashed. By the end of the first episode, or was it the 4th, I'm feeling like we're firmly in Lynch's dark territory of the imagination. That said, I will say it was different from the first 2 seasons in the same way that Fire Walk With Me was different from the series. Different, challenging, and ultimately engrossing. It was great seeing all of the old characters, although I admit to being more than a bit distracted by how much they've all aged over 25 years. Which was interesting because we haven't really talked about that, have we?
No, yeah. I mean, it is distracting a little because, they obviously have, I think we've, as actors, the person we've seen most frequently from Twin Peaks is going to be Kyle MacLachlan, right? It's just in more stuff that we would have seen. So there is that, and it is odd that almost every other actor in Twin Peaks hasn't really done much else. Certainly not in the last 15 years. I think there's been quite a few after Twin Peaks movies. Everett McGill, for example, and obviously Miguel Ferrer and stuff like that. But Not so much. I think actually I was going to say Miguel Ferrer as well, right? He's been around for he hasn't ever kind of faded off either, really. So yeah, there is that. So there is this shock of just not seeing him for so long. So yeah, I kind of get that. I don't find it very distracting. Other than I'm having a bit of trouble with Lucy and Andy. That's it really. Hulk I'm fine with, and everyone else. Well, what about you?
Same, because we kind of talked about that on the last episode, didn't we? But interestingly, I caught Speed 2 a couple of nights ago, and Lucy's in that, which I completely
really?
forgot.
I don't think I've seen her in anything else, you know. So she's in Speed 2.
Yeah, you hear her voice straight away, and you know.
She has got a very distinctive voice. I do like her voice, actually. I think it's kind of sweet voice. Okay, carry on.
And in regards to the 25 years, Tim goes on to say, side note, it made me realise how much I've aged since 1992 as well.
Yeah, tell me about it. Because I was 20, no I wasn't, I'm telling a complete, yes I was 25 or 26 when they said, right? So this period is half my life. And I mean, it's considerably more, more than half your life, isn't it, Becky? So, but it just feels like it doesn't feel that long ago. That's the weird thing.
Scary, isn't it?
It is.
And Tim actually says something here that I didn't think about, but I think it's really interesting, and I don't know whether it'll come to play in the series as it goes on, but he says, did anyone notice that the statue in the lodge sometimes had arms and sometimes didn't?
That's a good pickup. Yes, I hadn't actually. It's kind of obvious now you said it, but no, it's not. No, I remember when I read this. I've actually read this feedback, and I was like, "Yeah, that's a good point." And then I had to think: does it have no arms? Does it? There is points it does have no arms, isn't there? I remember. I know it does have arms in certain ways, but I couldn't remember. Right. Okay.
And he also asks, did the spirit in the glass box look like that statue?
The spirit in the glass box, a bit. I really want to come back to the thing in the glass box, but I'm waiting for the secret history. I'll talk about secret history. I
think that's a good call.
There's something in secret history that alludes to that, but we'll wait till we discuss the secret history, I think.
And he cryptically ends with, I guess we also now know what the man from another place meant when he said, the next time you see me, it won't be me. And we also had feedback from Rachel Belwar, who replied to Tim's comment about David Lynch taking the piss. And she talks about the scene where the doppelganger Dale, or as we call him, Cage Coop, is pushing in and out a character's cheeks for a minute.
Yeah.
Which was, I still can't quite work out what that meant.
Yeah, actually, there's something in this episode that I was wondering if that's something to do with that. Because I was thinking back on that. There's a bit in this episode. Anyway, we'll get to it when we get to this bit of the episode. But there's a bit with face stuff and Cage Cooper that happened in this episode. But yeah, I don't know either. It seemed like goofy.
Yeah, I mean, it's Lynch, isn't it? But she goes on to say that it's strange not having Dale at the centre, and I don't count Doppelganger Dale. I think I've actually been enjoying the parts that aren't with the main characters more, which is strange. For example, I like the payoff with the box, and Matt Lillard's doing a good job, but you feel the cast members who are missing, like how wouldn't Harry be looking for Coop, for example, and the darker tone. And is it my imagination, or is the pacing slower? Because the pacing could always be slow, but scenes seem longer. And I don't necessarily mean that critically either, just nothing stylistically. There was a lot more cutting between characters in season 1 and 2.
Yeah, there was a lot more characters, it has to be said. Loads more characters, right?
In seasons 1 and 2?
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, we have quite an ensemble cast here.
It's growing as it goes, but... more central characters is probably what I mean. Yeah,
because we're getting characters who are in one episode and that's it, aren't we?
Yeah, more central characters. Yeah, we know the life of... There must have been 30 people that we kind of got to know quite well in season 1 and 2, I'd say. That's a rough guess, but somewhere between 25 and 30, I'd guess. But without counting, I don't know. But there was quite a lot, and all right. We might have 30 odd people in this so far, but we've only, a lot of them we've seen in one or two scenes and barely know them, right?
Yeah, definitely. And she goes on to say, I love these people and the, central cast, the old cast. And I'm thrilled that this season exists. It's just missing the absurdity, which is what I love most about Twin Peaks. You don't have llamas or Tibetan techniques in this series. And she ends by saying that it feels horrible to think about Coop being in the Black Lodge for 25 years.
It's obviously affected him. We don't have to just think about him being there. It's obviously had a serious effect on him, both in terms of his ability to sort of process stuff and even interact on the smallest physical sort of requirements, almost. Especially when he wants to have a piss. But yeah, sorry, I'm certainly undercut that serious point. Yeah, it's obviously, it might take the whole A-team before we get even close to the Agent Cooper we know and love, right?
Yeah.
But we'll see. Right, any more?
Just a few bits that we've already touched on about, Wally Brando being pure season 2, as you said, and also the scene with Bobby. And, I think a lot of people seem to agree that was the kind of scene that was most reminiscent of the first and the second series.
I read somewhere a point that made me laugh a lot. Like, if Wally Brando, if you take the first and last, what's the word? Syllables of those two words is Waldo.
I think that was me, wasn't it?
Oh, did you? Yeah, sorry, you did say. Sorry, I was thinking, someone said it. Yeah.
So memorable.
Yeah. Okay, right, I'll tell you. Is that it for feedback? Shall we get onto the episode? I'm dying to get onto this episode.
Yeah, the only other thing mentioned was Tamara Preston's walk, but that was you.
That was me. Yeah, we could talk about Tamara Preston a bit more in this, actually. I just want to talk about your impression of this episode, actually, before we get into it. I felt we'd slowed right up in this episode, and I've watched it twice now and enjoyed it better the second time. I think I really dug the fourth one. And the third one even more, actually. But like the Bobby stuff, saying the fourth one really, really rev my engine when it comes to Twin Peaks. But it felt like this one was kind of a bit more slow and plodding. And there were, to me, in a way that it was like, we're not really getting on with plotting this one that much. What was your feelings?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And, there were some great moments, as we've said about a lot of the, of the episodes in season 2, for example, that, weren't the best. You have kind of flashes of brilliance, but overall, the episode felt very different and slower and to what we've seen so far in this series, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into the bits and minutiae of it. I definitely enjoyed it better the second time I watched it. I was more relaxed. It's almost like I have some sort of sense of anticipation of an episode, and if it meets it or exceeds it, I'm really happy. Which happened, I think, in episode 3 and 4. But when it doesn't meet our expectations, I feel kind of a bit, oh man, I hope it hasn't. I never thought it was going off the rails. I just thought, I wish more had happened. But on the second watch, I enjoy it more. These episodes really do bear rewatching. I'm definitely buying this on Blu-ray once it's out. Hopefully with some loads of cool extras too. Okay, let's get into the bits and bobs. Right, well, it starts with a shot of Vegas at night, right? The town, Las Vegas. But then we go to the Rancho Rosa, the housing development, at night. Basically, this Rancho Rosa is near Vegas, right? It must be. Because Cooper, Jade and all that are driving around. And we see the two guys who put the device on Dougie's car, kind of phoning someone to say that the car's still there. And who they're phoning is this very, very perturbed woman in this room with really loud music. With a computer screen behind her, and she's kind of very agitated, like she's like on uppers or, hadn't slept properly for days. She was a very odd character, this.
Yeah.
and we don't really get to know her at all. She kind of acknowledges this, and she gets angry at them, don't she? She's kind of, you have one job, it was all this business, and she uses this odd like communication device, the sort we saw with Cage Cooper when he thought he was talking to Agent Philip Jeffries,
Yeah.
right? And then we see her. I'm sorry. She was using a device, but she seemed to be communicating to this thing that looked like the thing Cooper talked into. But it was in this other room or other place with like a bare light bulb, and the device was in a metal copper bowl, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we saw her kind of texting almost like a beeper kind of text, and she puts in Argent 2. We see she's typed in Argent, and the next line says 2. So Argent, another word. French, is it, for silver?
I believe so.
Yeah. Well, it is, yeah. I think it might mean other things. Actually, I have to say, we do see this device mentioned later, referenced later, but on that one, they actually credit Buenos Aires, Argentina. And it could be Argent 2 was Argentina number 2, or I don't know. Could be that, right?
Yeah.
It's a little cryptic. But she's obviously very agitated and kind of, they're after Dougie, presumably Dougie. I mean, it could be they're still after the Cage Cooper, but it does seem like they're after Dougie, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a little unclear. Then we cut to the autopsy of the man's body, the man that was...
Sorry, just before you get to that bit,
Yeah.
I believe that Argent also is said in terms of heavenly bodies to represent the moon, which ties into what Cooper or Cage Cooper says towards the end.
Okay, cool. That's
which
a good
is
catch.
how I
missed that. I think Argent means a few things, so I'm not going to Google it.
Yeah, of metals, definitely silver.
Yeah, it's used in heraldry to indicate colour. Silver, actually. So there's a few possibilities what it could mean, but it could be simply Argentina. But we don't know. Anyway, we've got the autopsy going on of the man's body, the headless body that was found with the head of the woman. And we got this kooky woman who's like the forensic scientist, right? She's kind of a cool character. I kind of recognise her, but I couldn't tell you the actress's name. I didn't look it up, actually. She's going, this guy hasn't eaten anything for days. And he's had no food but I did find a gold ring, in his digestive system. And there's an inscription on the inside of the ring, isn't there? And it's "To Dougie, with love from Janie E." So it's like, how the hell is Dougie involved in this? And it got me wondering, is this a Cage Cooper thing? Does he know about Dougie? Is he trying to set Dougie up? I don't know. I couldn't work it out.
I do love this character, though. I think she's played by Jane Addams, who was in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. She's probably where I've seen her from, but some of the lines there, the comedy, she really kind of takes on that role from Albert, I think. Yeah,
she's good. Yes. I know. Oh, yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, she's like a female Albert, kinda. yes, I could. If there's a season 4, I think she'd be in it. I can see it. Then we get Cage Cooper laying in his cell, and he's just lying there. And I think you hear some noise, or maybe not, and he says, "And now food is coming." It's like, okay, you're one of those types. Then he gets up, washes his hands, and he looks in the mirror. And then we see him remember or think about when the doppelganger Cooper's laughing with Bob in the Red Room. And then the shot of Cooper when he hits his head in the mirror and he sees Bob on the other side. Now, I could be wrong here, and I watched it twice. Does his face distort somewhat in that mirror?
It does. It does into Bob's.
And it kind of looks like Bob. It's not exactly Bob's. It's kind of like Bob's, right?
It's kind of like...
at the bottom half, anyway.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of overlaid across. But what I wanted to ask you about this scene in particular was we have said that Cage Cooper is Bob. And from what he said here, this would suggest that he isn't Bob, that Bob
isn't Bob, no.
Bob is potentially still, in terms of being that kind of parasite, is attached to him.
Indeed. This indicates not what we were thinking. Well, actually, when you think back on it, there's always been this dichotomy of like, we know Bob was a possessing entity in Leland, right? Leland's whole thing was when he's in Twin Peaks, he was Leland some of the time, but it was Bob the rest of the time, and Bob was almost always intimately linked to Leland, apart from when people had visions of Bob. He wasn't a corporeal thing in his own right, was he, Bob?
No.
He seemed to exist within Leland. Actually, it was only... Did Sarah see him in a dream? I can't remember now. Sarah kind of saw him.
Saw his true face.
Laura saw him, but that was probably when he was Leland. And Maddie saw him crawl across the table when he wasn't Leland, because no one else saw that. Right?
Yes. So
Maddie, right? So this indicates there's these parasitic possessing things, but there's also these doppelgangers.
Well, because this was really kind of troubling me in terms of working everything out. For example, we have the man from another place, and we have Mike.
Yep.
And we take them to be the same person.
Yep.
But how I kind of thought about it to try and break it down was, if as Hawk says to Cooper, when you go through the Black Lodge, you confront your own soul, and you have to kind of pass and be aware there. So is that Cooper's, the dark aspect of Cooper, and that doppelganger is only generated or only exists when you enter the Black Lodge? You are technically split into two.
Yeah.
And one must remain there. So if you are to pass through, it's the good you that passes through, the goodness of your soul or whatever, which would suggest what Hawk was saying would be that the only way to go through would be to leave that darkness behind. And I may be reading way too much into it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily read them as the evil within you. It's more like they're a mirror of you. And the reason, I think the possible explanation for that is, that thing doesn't exist until you go in the Black Lodge, and it can come out, but while it's out, you can't come out.
Yeah.
So I don't think Cooper's... It's possible, an explanation of why Cooper the way he is he's lost that part of himself, and they actually have to be reunited rather than he just recover. Which reminds me of the old Star Trek episode when Kirk gets, the transporter goes wrong and Kirk gets split into a good and bad Kirk. And the good Kirk can't function properly because he lacks the drives and the sort of energy of the bad Kirk. Is it like that?
I really hope we get answers. I really do.
Yes. But there are other what was Leland's doppelganger? Because there was a Leland doppelganger as well as Leland, wasn't there? If I remember rightly.
Yes, but did Leland go through to the lodge after he died? In which case, did Bob come out so that he was only kind of partially kind of possessing him? Because, like you said, at times he is himself, whereas Cooper is two different entities. That's what I found really interested in trying to work it out.
Yeah, I've just realised I did say that Bob never had a corporeal... But he did, actually. We saw him come out the Dark Lodge at one point, didn't we? When everyone's arms started going wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I see these doppelgangers as distinct... Whatever they are, they're distinct things from the spirits of the lodge. Like
yes,
Bob.
Yeah,
right?
I'd agree.
That's what they appear to be. But what are they?
So they can be kind of possessed too.
Yeah.
Just like
It makes me wonder if, there's a possibility of seeing the doppelganger Leland or the doppelganger Laura, even. Possibly. I don't know. So basically, like you say, he's not Bob. Bob might be within him, but he's not Bob. That's what it appears to be, right? The way he talks. He's also got, special powers is this Cooper of some sort, hasn't it? Well, actually, we'll come to that when we do that. Then we so that sort of business happens. So that mere phrase, you're still with me. That's good. It tells us something quite important about this universe. Right. Okay. Then we see a character going through spreadsheets. Like, I think it's a car dealership or something. It's something like that. It's in an office. And I thought that's Ed Begley Jr. when I saw it, and then I started thinking it through. And, he looks a lot like Ed Begley Jr., this guy. Then I realised Ed Begley Jr. is about 70 now, and this guy was nowhere near that old. So he looked like how Ed Begley Jr. looked about 30 years ago. Google it if you don't know who I'm talking about. But I wasn't sure, and you said who it was. You told me who it was, didn't you? Tell us who it was.
It was Mike Nelson.
Mike Nelson always makes me laugh because that's one of the guys in Mystery Science Theatre is a Mike Nelson as well. So that's kind of it just makes me laugh when I hear that. He's like interviewing people for a job. It appears, right?
Yes.
And he calls a guy in who we meet later in this episode. Is this like young guy who looks a bit? How would you describe this guy? Kind of, he's a bit not scruffy, strung out. I don't know what.
Yeah, it's hard to...
A bit of a waster.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he's definitely using something, doesn't he?
A bit of a stoner, maybe. We don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, this guy pulls in this guy called Stephen. He comes to him, and he basically chews him out for having a terrible resume, which makes him disrespect any future potential employer, and Stephen just sits there earnestly. He looks like he does want a job. He don't look like he's like, I don't care what this guy said, does he? He looks like he's there to try and get a job, but he's Mike just chews him out and then says, right, get out. And then that's it, right?
He looks like he isn't asked about the job, but he's quite, his ego's bruised when, he kind of says to him, you're a waste of space, you're not going to get a job around here kind of thing. He doesn't like hearing somebody say that about him, but he doesn't...
I mean, who would, right? Who wouldn't like to do that? But yeah, there's all that. So it's like, as far as we know, that's not related to anything. But Stephen, the younger man, comes back in a later scene, right? Then we see Frank Truman on the phone, and he's talking to someone, asking them how they are, asking about Tess. It becomes apparent he's talking to his brother Harry. So Frank Truman's talking to Harry. And then Lucy comes on the intercom and basically tells Frank his wife's on the way, and she told him where he is and all this. And he's saying, yeah, I've got to go, Doris is on the way. And then his wife comes in and, just nags him for 5 minutes. And he just sits there looking at her. Right. Then justifying everything. She's saying this, and he's saying, yeah, well, I've done this, and this, in a really reasonable way. And she's really angry, isn't she?
Yeah.
And he's just looking at her, and she just goes, you're impossible, and walks out. It's like, not a great portrayal of women, this. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I really did feel sorry for him. And this one little scene does kind of really introduce him, because we haven't spent that much time with Frank Truman.
No.
At all. So, that's, very brief conversation with Harry on the phone, and this scene is quite clever in that, it sets up his kind of life and, how laid back he is and his kind of relationship with everybody in the, the station.
His character is very like Harry's, isn't it? You can kind of tell they're brothers, can't you?
Yeah.
It is funny that the previous one, major thing we saw him in was Wally Brando talking bollocks to him, and him just putting up with it, and then now his wife comes and hectors him. This was a proper nagging, this was. Like, so I can spend the money on a bucket, but I can't do this. I can't get the rug I want. No, it's quite good.
It was kind of Lucy levels of anger, wasn't it?
It was proper ranting. That actress, I kind of recognised her, so I looked it up. It's Candy Clark, who, interestingly, was with David Bowie in The Man Who Fell to Earth, which is an interesting film. And I think it's one we might want to include in the wheelhouse for this.
definitely.
only because Agent Jeffries and Candy Clark. It'd be kind of interesting. And it's starting to make me think, you know what? It's possible Agent Jeffries is a character a bit like the man who fell to earth. And I started thinking along those lines, which is a way to go insane if you start trying to link other films to this universe. And I kind of like the scene. It didn't have much. Again, this contributes to the sort of slowness of plotting in this episode, right? So really, have we actually had much to contribute to the plot? I guess the two guys and the gold ring, right? And Cage Cooper, right? Okay, that's a reasonable amount. Then we cut to Dougie and Janie coming out of their house in the morning, and Sonny Jim jumps in the car. His ties.
Why is she called Janie E, by the way? What's the
Janie E
significance of it?
Janie E. It's weird, isn't it? It's almost like 50 sitcoms kinds of names, isn't it? Really, it's like Jim Bob and Joe Bob, isn't it? And Sonny Jim. It's kind of like that. So Sonny Jim gets in the car. Dougie hasn't done his tie up, so she's like, you haven't done it tie, and she starts saying, okay, I hid the money. It's $425,000. I couldn't tell if she said it's in our secret place or it's in a secret place. I couldn't quite make it out. There's a subtle difference because if she said "ow," they're obviously colluding. They both know where it is, right? That's the difference. Or he would if he was sentient about it. He's obviously not. And when you get to work, call them, arrange the time and place, pay them $50,000. So he owes $50,000. Again, that's probably tied up to the two guys looking for him, I should imagine, but we don't know. And then she says, "Okay, Dougie, you're acting weird as shit." And I think she says something like, "I think you're having one of your episodes."
Yeah, and this is after he is looking at his child and starts crying.
Yeah, it's very sad. What do you think that meant?
I don't know. Like I've said to you before, I think the child may be something to do with the lodge or the spirits because of the way that he acts, and he's very kind of mature. But I don't know. Maybe he's feeling if they're connected psychically. Like we know that Cooper has some kind of psychic ability. If he feels anything of Dougie's former life or whatever, and he feels how he feels for that child, and he's feeling that emotion, I was thinking.
It might be, he's aware that Dougie's not there anymore, and these people aren't even aware of it, maybe.
Yeah.
And he feels bad for them. The other thing, although more simple than that, is like he's starting to become aware that half his life he's not been around. And, the possibilities of family and, being in a relationship and all of that has been taken from him. So there was a tinge of that. It was very sad, very moving, but it's hard to articulate exactly why. You get this sense of loss, I think, in it. But like I say, it could be something more Lynchian than that. Like he knows that this character, Sonny Jim, is something. We don't know. It's all that. But I like to read the more simple thing that he realises he's got a sense of loss about him.
That's the beauty of Lynch, isn't it? It's those kind of subtle kind of moments that you can read loads into, but they can also have the simplest meaning. And I love that ambiguity about kind of everything he does. Yeah,
it's kind of cool. One thing that did peeve me a little at Naomi Watts, the wife, Janie E, was she actually said, "I think you're having one of your episodes." It's like, no shit, lady, you've been with him for 12 hours, right? If he's had episodes like this before, wouldn't you have noticed a bit quicker? Do you know what I mean? Am I being a bit, I don't know. It's like, whoa, come on, lady, go on the case. Anyway, right, okay. So and then she actually says to him, "No more drinking and gambling." So it could be he gets blotto or black.
As if it's as easy as that. There you go.
Yeah, no more drinking and gambling. So then we go back to the Rancho Rosa, and Dougie's car's still there. The two guys drive past, who we're constantly seeing. Look at the car and drive on. And then another car comes past, a black car full of. They're obviously like hoodlums. I thought when as soon as I saw them, I thought they want to nick that car. It was clear to me they weren't connected to the first two guys. But what about you?
Yeah, I mean, the only problem I had with that was the fact that they did it in broad daylight. There was a child that could, saw all of their faces and identify them.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
had really loud music in the car the first time they drove past too. Really loud, like, in a quiet street. It's like they're obviously up to no good, and it's like, oh man, you're going to get made if you just do that. But this is Lynch, right? So Janie E drives Cooper to his, Dougie's office. It's here she notes he's having one of his episodes. As she's pushing him out of the car, oh, Dougie, I think you're having one of your episodes. Get out. It's like that. It's like, whoa. And he goes towards his work, or you think, where people are walking. There's a statue of a man with a fedora pointing the gun. I didn't mean to look this up, but I never got around to it. I was wondering if that's something significant. I got a horrible feeling that's an American icon that I don't know and means something. It looks a bit like Indiana Jones to me. But he's kind of taken with it, isn't he? He actually points his hand the way the man's pointing the gun. Like it means something. But then a younger guy with glasses carrying two sets of coffees, or something from Costa or something like that, Starbucks. And he just says to him, "Off in Dreamland again, are you, Dougie?" And because someone acknowledges him, he just starts following him, and they get in a lift. And this bit did make me laugh, where the guy's standing there and Cooper's reaching for the coffee like he's going to grab it from him, and because he can't do anything, he's got loads of coffee in his hand. He's going, sorry, Doug, I didn't get you one. I didn't know you could be in. And he goes, okay, I'll give you Frank's. He never drinks it anyway. And when he gives it to him, Cooper's well happy, and he starts going, while he's drinking. Did you notice the woman in the lift with them?
No.
She was like, she was like, men. And he's going, damn. He goes, damn good, Dougie, and he says back to him, damn good, Joe. I think he said that. Now, Joe, coffee's sometimes called Joe, isn't it? Cup of Joe. So I don't know if he knew the bloke was called Joe. I don't know. But he said, damn good, Joe. Then they get to the floor they're going to, and we find out Dougie works for Lucky 7 Insurance. They go in the meeting room. Dougie just follows. He's kind of still doesn't know what's going on, but he's kind of following. And he comes in, and Dougie's drinking his coffee, and it's got... Cooper's drinking his... I keep calling Cooper Dougie. That's bad, isn't it? He noticed that Cooper's drinking his coffee, and it's got Frank written on it, and Frank's going, that's mine. And the guy's going, I'm sorry. I got you this. You got a green tea latte here, which I drink green tea. And green tea latte sounds revolting, but it's probably really nice. But it just sounds bad to me. And he says, "But I want that one." And he's like, the guy's... Anyway, he's creating a bit of a stink, and in the end he takes the green tea latte and loves it, it would appear, right? Frank loves his green tea latte.
His face is so happy, isn't he?
He's so happy. Again, this guy looked familiar, but I didn't look it up. He kind of looked really familiar. I'm sure I've seen him in something, but he was good, though. He was good in the part. And then and when they go in, another guy gets Dougie, and he's sort of saying, I'll cover for you, dude. Don't worry about it. Did you fall asleep in a steam bath? He says at one point, doesn't he? Because his clothes are way too big. It is funny how he's wearing all these oversized clothes, and it does make Cole McLaughlin look bigger, doesn't it? Have you noticed? Wearing these oversized jackets makes him look physically bigger. It's not meant to. It's meant to be. That's Cooper, so he's not. But actually, it's weird. The clothes make him look physically bigger. And then there's a slightly weird interaction. A man and a woman sitting next to each other. The woman's kind of not... She's a bit offish, isn't she? And the guy goes, did you get my note? And she's like, no, I didn't get your note. And he goes, I sent you one. And she goes, talk to your wife, Darren. So he's obviously was he a bit of a sex pest or something, do you think? I don't know.
I don't know. I got more of the vibe that they had a relationship and then she found out he was married.
Oh, yeah, that's actually more like it, right?
Yeah.
But she does say something to Cooper a bit later, like, I might let you kiss me now.
I know.
I think she's the office flirt, I think. So,
And that means that Dougie's obviously been trying it on.
yeah.
Rascal.
A little tinker. Then the guy...
Literally.
Yeah, then the guy that said he covered for Dougie starts talking about a claim they have to pay off. There's like a big boss, an old guy that's the boss of the insurance company, and he's saying, yeah, we got to play out on this claim. And he said, I thought it was arson. And he said, no, it turned out it's all legit. And we see a weird Cooper's looking at him, and he's got a weird, like, green glimmering on his face, isn't he? I think it's a light effect. I don't think it's post-production. It looked like they just shot a weird green light on his face. And Cooper, does he just say he's lying or something like that, doesn't he? Or he's telling a lie. And the guy kind of gets annoyed, doesn't he? He says, what do you say to that, Dougie? You call me a liar and all this.
Well, the thing so far is Cooper, as Dougie, has only, as far as I'm aware, repeated what other people have told him.
Yeah, he's starting to say fresh things. The first thing, I think, was when he said, in the last episode, where he said hi after he drank the coffee.
Yeah, as if the coffee literally woke him up.
Yeah, and also, like he said, damn good, Joe. And as far as I know, the bloke didn't say his name was Joe. So there's, lying is another one, right? So he's starting to come around a bit.
Yeah.
There's a sign of that, right? Anyway, this guy gets really annoyed. And the old guy says, I want to see you in my office after this meeting, Dougie. And Dougie gets led into the old fella's office. Like he doesn't know what he's doing. And, like, no one picks this up, do they? That he seems like not him. It doesn't seem like a normal person. A person acting under their own steam. He's just kind of led around. Anyway, the bloke with the glasses and like a female equivalent of the bloke with the glasses, two youngish people, lead him in, and the old guy goes, please close the door. And they shut the door with them still in it in the office. And he goes, on your way out. So they leave. And then he starts telling off Dougie. And he's saying things like, oh, I noticed he had like a big poster of a boxer. Did you see that on his wall?
Yeah.
And Dougie's kind of taken with that, isn't he? He's just looking up. Things like Dougie seems to get entranced by images of people, which is interesting. I don't know what... Oh, sorry, I called him Dougie again. Cooper seems... It's really difficult, this. And he says, how dare you say that to my best agent? And he goes, agent? And he says, here's some case notes I want you to process. Case notes. So he's repeating things from his past, right? Agent, case notes and all this. And he basically says, I want you to give me a full assessment of each of these, and your performance in this is going to strongly influence what your future with this company. He's basically threatening him, right? And gives him a massive set of case files.
Yeah.
I would like to come home from work with that lot. I'll tell you.
That's an all-nighter, at least.
That is. Next time we see him, and this always makes me laugh. He's got the case notes on the floor and he's like busting for a piss. And that woman, the woman who was like told Darren off, talk to your wife, Darren. She finds him and she's kind of says, "Oh, it's men's bathroom locked, is it, Dougie? I tell you what, I'll sneak you into a house. I won't tell anyone." And then she says, I was thinking, maybe I'll let you kiss me now, handsome. And he's kind of going, It's not the most attractive. Never flirt with someone when they're busting for a piss. It's never a good idea. And then she goes, go ahead, you keep watching. He goes in, and she's kind of standing there, and then we hear him like, his sense of relief. That we go, and she laughs at it. And again, it's like, what is wrong with these people? Oh yeah, it's David Lynch. That's what it is. Yeah, fine. Interesting. We get it's kind of a bit of a, I don't know. Dougie seems to be a bit pathetic, and I'm talking about Dougie, not Cooper. I'm talking about Dougie.
Yeah, I mean, just the way he dresses in comparison to everybody else at the firm.
Yeah,
he looks like
jackets.
Yeah, he looks like he is the kind of person that everybody takes the piss out of.
Yeah, he look from his dress sense and stuff. And like, he's obviously his gambling habit or whatever the hell it is. He's a bit of a yahoo, really. You know, he wears these gaudy clothes and stuff like that. Anyway, we move on to go back to the Silver Mustang casino, right? And it's the control room, and on a loop we see Cooper over and over again winning a jackpot. Like, they've got it on a loop, and we get two obvious gangsters. And one's James Belushi, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, he's looking quite menacing here. And interestingly, while all this gangstery stuff comes in, cocktail waitresses come in and kind of lounge around at the back on the wall, leaning against the wall. Remind me a bit of One-Eye Jacks, that vibe.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? It was like a pit. They were wearing wearing the same clothes, like a pink dress, like almost like a 50s dress, right?
Yeah.
Short, a cocktail dress, cocktail waitress dress. They talked to the manager, that is the guy with the beard, the one who said, "Oh man, I'm dead," when he saw the jackpots being, and he's shitting himself. And they're kind of saying, "Were you in on this?" And he's like, "No." And they beat the crap out of him, don't they? Give him a good punch and kicking.
And that's Robert Nepper, because it's two brothers, James Belushi and the other guy, meant to be brothers, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And Robert Nepper has been in loads of things like Prison Break. He's a really good character actor.
Yeah, I thought Jim Belushi was pretty good in this as well. I haven't seen Jim Belushi in anything.
In ages.
In ages. It made me laugh, this, because I remember there was like when Twin Peaks came out, there was like a rash of weird TV shows. And one of them was one of the better ones, was one done by Oliver North, called Wild Palms, and James Belushi was in it. And it was interesting that he was in a show that was like a riffing on Twin Peaks, and now he's in Twin Peaks. It's kind of so one beats the shit out of him, and they basically, I think James Belushi warns him never to come back to town again. Leave town and never come back, basically. And they give it, and he gets his assistant, and he goes, you got his job. Tell me if that guy ever comes in, Cooper. And this guy does not look happy at it. Getting his job, getting a new job. I wouldn't be happy either, would you? I really wouldn't like to work there. It's like, how can I ever leave this job? What am I supposed to do? And then there's all these cocktail waitresses just landing around looking bored. It's like really weird.
Reminded me a lot of Mulholland Drive as well, the cocktail waitresses.
I mean, we've talked when the feedback. Actually, I did mean to talk about this at the feedback. We've talked about the fact that this isn't really riffing on Twin Peaks. It's riffing more on Fire Walk with Me, and really, it's riffing on David Lynch's body of work, isn't it?
Yeah.
More than once, I've talked about Eraserhead and Mulholland Drive and Wild at Heart. There's definitely some Bobby Peru type characters we've met and stuff like that. So yeah, there's all that. Then we go back to Rancho Rosa. The kids across the road we'd met before is watching Dougie's car through the blinds. It's interesting. I couldn't quite tell. Is this kid wearing pajamas or just, I don't know?
No, I don't think so.
It's got a T-shirt on that says a big red. It's got a big red 1 on it. It's got a number 1. And the weird junkie woman is kind of asleep, but sitting at a table asleep. Right?
Yeah.
Can't be comfortable. She won't get proper night's rest like that. And then he goes out. He leaves her alone. He goes out and reaches under the device. I think she kind of wakes up and has a pill, but I can't remember. He goes out and he starts reaching under the car for the weird device. But then these hoodlums in the black car rock up and tell the kid to piss off, kind of thing, don't they? And there's about 6 of them in this car. There's loads of them. And they start breaking into it, like boosting the car. But once they tell the kid to get lost, they really are unconcerned car thieves by doing it in broad daylight and telling the kid to look, you can see their faces, to just clear off. When they start the car up, though, it blows up, right? And burns, I think, 3 of them, and 2 of them drive off. The cars are completely done. So obviously this was a thing to kill Dougie, because it wasn't clear. It could have been a bug or tracing device, but it was a bomb, right? So these guys being business, which you kind of gathered because they had a bloody sniper.
With the sniper, yeah.
Anyway, the kid runs back to the house and goes back and looks at the burning car. And I think the woman maybe wakes up at this point, but he's watching the
she does.
car burning through the blinds. In weird sort of musical cue here, as the car burns, we get this like not operatic, more like a Morricone kind of blasting music, rising music as the car's burning, like, like a dramatic chord kind of music, which is kind of unusual. That's a bit traditional for Lynch, that kind of thing. I was kind of taken aback by that. What's your thoughts?
That only Lynch could kind of take you aback, doing something conventional.
Conventional, yeah. Then that cuts. That music, I think that music actually fades into the next scene as it trails off. We get Jade's getting her car valeted, right? And the guy that's doing the inside finds the key to the Great Northern. He says, "Hey," and he obviously knows she don't mind people knowing what she does because the guy actually says, "You got a John from Washington?" And she goes, "What?" He goes, "Well, look, it's a key for." He shows her the key for the Great Northern. So I thought Cooper still had this key, so obviously he's just dropped it in Jade's car, right? So she kind of says, "Wait a minute," and just goes and sticks it in the post box. Which is this is such a normal kind of scene, isn't it?
Yeah, but I've got a feeling this will come back.
I was hoping she was going to go meet her twin sister Emerald. That's what I was hoping. It didn't happen that way. Yeah. Now I think we get possibly one of the most important scenes. Possibly. It's hard to tell. We never know. But coming up, which is, we go to the Double R diner, and we see Norma for the first time. Says Norma, looking not that much older. It has to be said, considering it's 25 years later.
And she's 70 as well.
70, amazing. I mean, she is older, obviously, but
she looks amazing.
She looks amazing. She's still got the same hair and everything, right?
Yeah.
She's doing the books. She's got her glasses on. She's doing the books. And then we see a girl come in, and this is Amanda Seyfried, who I thought was one of the characters earlier on, didn't I? And I have to say, I'm starting to build things in my head here. So that's interesting. She looked like this other girl. Hold on, in Twin Peaks, Teresa Banks reminded Leland of his daughter. You know, it's like, and Dark Cooper killed this woman, and now there's another one who looks quite a lot like. Anyway, I was building way too much in my head. Really interesting. When she comes in, I think Norma calls and says Toad. It's I thought she said it's Brit, but we find out this is Becky, right? Oh man, this is going to get confusing now. So I'm going to have to call you Becky Prime and.
Like a transformer.
Yeah. But no, it turns out it's Becky. And it isn't made entirely clear, but I think you come to realise as the scene goes on, this is Shelley's daughter.
Yes.
Right? And that relates back to when we saw Shelley in the booth saying she don't trust Steve with her daughter and stuff like that. And they say, "No, Steve's a great guy." Do you remember that? All that in episode 1, right? Episode 1.
Yeah, it was.
Or 2, or whatever, the first one. And she's come in, they're kind of talking, and Shelley starts handing over her money to her, right? And I didn't catch all of the conversation, but I did hear Becky actually say, "He'll find a job." So she's like making excuses for her boyfriend or husband or whatever he is, right? Well, no, actually, it's boyfriend, isn't it? Because we'd established that in the scene in the Bang Bang Bar. When she goes, "Oh, well, that's kind of sweet," Shelley kind of strokes her hair, and that kind of conveyed to me that's her daughter. Or certainly a close relative of some sort.
I believe it is, and I think her second name is Burnett, Rebecca or Becky Burnett. Which suggests, I'm trying to think who her father would be.
Burnett. Well, it's not Briggs then.
Nope.
Burnett. There was a Burnett, right? Okay, all right. Okay, let's go on. So Norma comes over and says, that's the third time you've given her money in 2 weeks. And if you don't help her now, it's going to be harder to help her in the future. And I think Shelley says something like, "Don't we both know it?" Like, "Oh, we both had a terrible time with men." It's that kind of empathy, right? And they're both arm in arm. It's kind of sweet, very sweet. Actually. They're arm in arm, and they're looking through the doorway into this. Basically, we see Becky go out and get into a Trans Am with, I think it's a Trans Am, certainly a big flash American car, with this guy Steve, who says, "How much money did you get?" And she says, $72. And he does. I mean, he doesn't just say okay. He actually says, "I'm good for it. I'm good for it." You know, he's not entirely terrible as a character, right?
I don't know. He's a bit. There's something about him.
He does say they're watching us, and he backs up so they can't see it, and then he gets out a vial, and it's Coke, right? And he says, "There's some here," and it's mostly empty. And she says, "Have you had all that today?" And he was saying, "You know how nervous I get in my interviews." So, you know, this is the guy that had the bad CV before, right? So he's obviously looking for a job and got told off. And he actually says, "I've got some great feedback today." It made me laugh, which is the kind of thing, if you had a terrible job interview, if you want to put a brave face on it, you'd come home and sort of tell your folks or your friends, "Oh, yeah, I got some good feedback." But the feedback was actually, "You're terrible and this CV's terrible." Like, wow. Anyway, she has some Coke, and she's not happy, but he kind of sweet talks her. He gives her some Coke first, and starts sweet talking about how beautiful she is and all this. And it might be a bit of the Coke and a bit of the sweet talking, but he's obviously got her wrapped around his finger somewhat.
Yeah, and in like reading up about the episode, it seemed to suggest that he was her husband.
Was a husband, okay. Yeah. And funny enough, I'll tell you what, the relationship reminded me somewhat of. Have you seen Casino?
Oh, yeah, years ago, though.
The relationship between James Woods' character and Sharon Stone's character. And James Woods isn't in it very much, but he's basically got Sharon Stone's character around his little finger. And Robert De Niro's like her husband, or, you know, her husband, I think he is. And like, but he can't stop her going back to this complete and utter loser. Because she's kind of, you know, he's got her wrapped around his finger. And it kind of reminded me a bit of that. Anyway, she seems happy, right? And I really, really like this scene, what comes next. They kind of start driving, and she's kind of relishing the wind in her hair. We're getting a very close, like, face shot, aren't we? Almost from above, but she's kind of looking up, and she's happy, and she's listening to this music. "I Love How You Love Me" was the song.
Yeah, which really reminded me that close up, and you know the fact she's blonde and she kind of looks a bit like Laura.
Yeah,
you know, the drugs, everything.
Yeah, this feels like another, you know, history repeating itself potentially with Laura Palmer. Definitely, it reminded me a bit of the video of Laura and Donna. Because it was almost, it was a different type of film stock, wasn't it? Did you notice that? It was like slightly more grainy.
Yeah.
And so I think that was obviously deliberate. But she was, good face acting. It was on her face for quite, I'd say 60 seconds, possibly more.
Yeah.
But great face acting. Good job by Amanda Seyfried here. But it is intriguing. We had this other character that looked really similar to her, who got killed by Cage Cooper. I'm not suggesting it's going to be parallel in any kind of way, but I just found that sort of, there was a parallel in that scene, somewhat, to me. In that circumstance. When you get, people looking like people in Twin Peaks, that happens quite a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's very deliberate on the part of the show's creators.
Yeah, so I think that might be something very significant, but we'll see. I just have that feeling.
Yeah,
we're getting up this character who's sweet, but possibly vulnerable and not in the best of hands. Though I don't think Steve's completely terrible, but I don't know. He might be just saying things to be manipulative. It's hard to tell. But he is going to job interviews, you know what I mean? So it can't be entirely terrible, I guess. Otherwise, you'd just say, I went to a job interview, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it needs must kind of thing with him, but there's just something that was a bit icky.
Well, he looked a bit ill. There were marks on his skin, a bit like that junkie woman with the kid. They were like bits of his skin were discoloured. I think around his temples and on one of his arms, and he looked a bit like he had some sort of illness.
Yeah.
Or, he was a junkie or something, right? Anyway, we cut back to the building with the Lucky 7 insurance. Doug is in the lift with loads of people in there. He's facing the wrong way, so he's just walked in the lift and not bothered even turning around to the door.
Which I loved.
Yeah, and again, I said Dougie, I mean Cooper, obviously. And when the doors open, he's just blocking everyone in there. They're going, "Oh, get out of the way! Oh, Dougie!" And kind of, he gets pushed out backwards. We see it's interesting. It's kind of funny that when he first went in the lift in the morning, it said 5 to 9. There's a big clock right by it, and as they're leaving, it's 5:30. It's like, oh, this is around 9 to 5 kind of. And he just wanders out, doesn't he, into the forecourt, goes to the statue and just starts looking up at it. And we get cuts, don't we, of time passing, and he's just standing there. So we get the impression he stands there for hours, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Next scene, we get Andy and Hawk again going through the evidence. I think it's night time. And we have... so they're just looking, and Andy's like saying... I can't find any Indians. Have you found any Indians, Hawk? And Hawk's going, no, Andy, I haven't found any Indians. And that's it. That's that scene, right?
Yeah. Which is a bit disappointing.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, this is like being a bit strung out. Yeah. Bit weak, that one.
Yeah, even the scene, between Norma and Shelley, I mean, it was lovely to see him, and that's, it's that nostalgia factor, but there's not an awful lot that we kind of, their characters are doing. No.
Which kind of contributes to me that there really wasn't much going for this episode. I didn't enjoy this much and I think I had problems with the first one, right? The very first one, and this one is the second one. I think I'm having had problems with. However, I watched it again and I kind of liked it. There was enough in it that I liked, which comes to actually probably we're coming up to possibly my favourite scene in this episode. Actually, we go back to Dr. Jacoby.
Yes.
Wow, and his video blog. So we find out why he's been spraying shovels gold. He's got a conspiracy theorist video blog, right? How does it... He starts it by this. It's 7:00. Do you know where your freedom is? Oh, wow, awesome. And he starts going on about how the man's like doing all this and there's all these bad... Man, and I have to say, I was watching that and thinking, I feel like I'm watching my future here.
I did think that as well.
What, on me? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you. No, you.
Yeah. I've been told many times you're going to just turn out to be one of those mad people on a bus. What do you mean? But yeah, I get angry about stuff sometimes. I know it doesn't seem like it, but yeah. Anyway, so he gives this long spiel. I really like this bit. This really made me laugh. And it was nice to find out what the hell the gold shovels were for. And I have to say, I started thinking, you know what, I could get a shovel and spray it gold. That'd be dead easy. Which, what a weird thing to start thinking. We see Jerry watching it, right? Smoking a joint. I didn't realise it was Jerry at first. I thought it was just a random old dude, but then it's, yeah, that's Jerry, right. And who else do we see?
Nadine.
She hasn't changed that much either, has she?
No, not at all. And that was really nice. Even though she doesn't utter a word, does she?
She's just really happy. But she loves... I mean, that goes back to season 1 and 2, though. She loves her TV drama. Or, she loves stuff on the TV that engages her, doesn't she? She really gets into it. And I had a feeling she was really into this. But I do love when he started selling the gold shovels. He had done it a homemade advert, didn't he, of him standing knee deep in I don't know what, and he's saying, "Help yourself, shovel your way out the shit." Was his selling point? And he was selling
into the truth.
Gold shovels for $29.99, which I thought that's a good price.
I'm worried about you.
Yeah, that's bad, isn't it? But I know I was thinking, well, if I bought a shovel and sprayed it, that's going to cost me this, and that. I can know where I could sell them for that. Should we start a franchise? What do you reckon? Do you think we could do a podcast like franchise?
I think so. Yeah, mix it with the X-Files. Because he says, doesn't he, shove your way out of the shit and into the truth?
Yeah. The truth's out there if you've got a shovel. And isn't there even a line in the X-Files? If they put you in the desert with a shovel moulder and told you the truth was out there, you dig up the entire desert. Anyway, I'm going off.
It's perfect. There you go.
Yeah. Did you notice his hat was a bit Nazi? Did you notice? He was wearing a bow tie with little like SS insignia things. Or am I dreaming this? Well, they were like lightning. It was like runic. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. But now you've said it, it's a bit... Yeah.
World War II-ish. But the only thing that was, the cap was kind of woolly or something, which, like, obviously that's not very military. It was kind of weird. It was almost militaristic, but that was part of his video persona, I reckon. And he was doing also, like, weird jock jokes, wasn't he? Like, puns. And he said, when you're up on the roof, so what? Yeah, I did like that bit. That was fun. That was my favourite bit in this episode, I think. I said maybe one. Okay, so then we cut to the Pentagon, all right, and it's Eddie Hudson from Ghostbusters as a big general or something, and this woman called who's like his aide, Cindy, her name is, comes in and says there's been a database hit on Briggs's prints. In South Dakota. So we find out that body was Briggs.
You were right.
Yeah, well, I think you were right too, right? You said Briggs. No, in fact, you said Briggs first. Because I said it could have been Dougie Milford. Though I don't know where they'd have kept him in a freezer. But it was Briggs, whatever. I think all the money was on it was probably Briggs, though, wasn't it? We were kind of thinking.
Yeah.
So he's saying, he basically says, I'm sending you to South Dakota to check out, and it won't be for real, but if it is, but it won't be, but if it is, we got to let the FBI know. That's what he says, all right? So he's not that concerned, and I think he says it's the 16th time in 25 years. So this is his prints have been found somewhere, right? 16 times in 25 years. But he was alive up till recently. That's the impression I got from didn't you?
Yeah, I think from what Bobby said.
Yeah, it sounded like he hadn't died that long before, right? Or is a fire?
No, yeah, it would have had to have been 25 years ago because he said that Cooper went to see his dad, and then he died in a house. He died in a fire not long after.
Oh yeah, but that was. I don't think they were indicating it was long. It was long after. No, I think Cooper hadn't been seen by anyone for ages, but he'd come to visit his dad.
Turned up. Yeah, right.
Not that long ago. That's the impression I got. It wasn't entirely clear. Then we cut to the Bang Bang Bar. Oh man, there's a right scumbag here. There's like a reptilian-looking guy smoking a cigarette next to a really dodgy guy. This one.
Do you not think as well? Like side profile, he really, really looked like Matthew McConaughey.
He did, and there's another actor that I can't remember who he looked like. He's got that reptilian look, like angular reptilian, a bit like Billy Drago, or there's other guys I've definitely seen that look like him.
The guy I'm thinking of was in The Mask, the villain in The Mask.
Yes,
with Jim Carrey.
That's exactly him, and I think he was in that Dolph Lundgren film. I Come in Peace, I think. But yeah, that's exactly the guy I was thinking of. I'm glad you said that, because I couldn't think where I was seeing him, but that's the bloke. Really looked like him. In fact, in an odd way, he looks like an uglier version of James as well. I'm not saying he is related at all, but he kind of looks a bit like him. But you can tell this bloke's a scumbag. He just looks like one. Smoking next to a non-smoking sign. Then a barman comes up and says he's got to put it out. And then another guy comes and says, I'll deal with this. And that guy, I reckon I think we've seen him in the series already, but I couldn't place him. I think he's been in one of the episodes, but must have been in Twin Peaks, but I couldn't place him. He just looked familiar.
Which one? Sorry, the one sitting.
The one that said, "I'll deal with this," and then he says, "Have you got a cigarette?" And he says, "Take the pack." And when he looks, it's full of money. So there's something dodgy going on, right? But I couldn't place him, but he looked familiar.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, I'll have to look that up, I think. And then there's some girl sitting in another booth kind of interested in this guy that's like acting cool and tough and stuff. And he says, come here. And he kind of grabs her and he's got her by the throat. I didn't like this scene. I have a bit of a problem with David. I mean, he kind of does. He's got a few characters like this. I mean, Frank Booth's the most obvious one in Blue Velvet, and also Bobby Peru in Wild at Heart. But this guy, he just grabs her by the throat and says, I love all you smoke babies. He just says lots of horrible things that I don't really want to repeat, to be honest.
But a great performance. I'd say that for him. Like, it was chilling. It was kind of the way his kind of demeanour in that turned so quickly. I think this is gonna be kind of a dark.
This guy could be a major villain. He could be a major villain. Well, in a way.
Do you know his name?
No.
Because I know his name from reading up about it.
Tell us then.
His name is Richard Horn.
Horn is a Horn. Hold on. He wasn't that old, was he? 20s?
No.
So he could be Audrey Horn's son or something.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Boy, he does not look like the product of John Wheeler and Audrey Horn. Or he could be but actually, if we're going for the old Benjamin Horn's like the JR of Twin Peaks, it's probably more like the illegitimate offspring, bastard son or something, right?
Yeah,
that's exactly. More likely, right? I did not like this character at one bit, but he could be a really good bad guy. He's kind of the bad guy we should have had with Wyndham Earl. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of, he should have been like that, kinda. Well, maybe not. Was not a fan of this. I thought it was good, but like I say, good performance. And I think the actress did really well too. She really, I mean, she didn't have much to do other than react, but I thought it was good and convincing. She did look properly frightened. And it was just, oh man, I wish someone would shoot this bloke. That's how I felt. Did not like him. Okay, next scene we get is Tammy Preston. Fairly brief scene here. She's looking at a picture of Cooper when he was young and handsome, and then Cooper in prison Cooper, right, Cage Cooper, and then she starts looking very, very closely at the fingerprints. And we don't kind of see what she's looking at. Well, we see a bit, but as she's looking closer and closer, we just get her face looking at these fingerprints. So it's like she's seen something and has fingerprints, right?
Yeah.
Any ideas?
Not really. I mean, if Dougie has been manufactured and Cage Coop is I don't know if Cage Coop is a doppelganger, then he would have the same fingerprints. Do you know what I mean? I don't...
Yeah, no, I know. I can't think what she might have seen other than, are they backward? But then they would have picked it up straight away, though, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Or the other thing that occurred to me is she looking at prints of, have they got a match for someone else? And that's Dougie? Or something like that, but it wasn't really that obvious.
No.
I have a confession also. I think I'm in love with Tammy Preston.
I was about to say, she was sitting down and not walking, so I can imagine you were quite disappointed.
She's so beautiful. She is really beautiful. There's something about her. Anyway, okay.
You are Cole, you know that, don't you?
So I'm going to be a cross between Jacoby and Carl. What? Okay. There wasn't really much to pick up other than she's seen something odd in the prints. All right. Then we cut to Cage Cooper appropriately in a caged area, like kind of in a table. There's a guard there. A warden guy comes in who's the warden, brings him a phone, plugs it in, and he says, "Thank you, Warden Murphy." And I guess this is what they do in American jails, or I don't know, it might have been an artificial thing for this. The warden leaves, and then the guard leaves to leave him to his phone call. And he kind of sits there, and then he looks up at the camera and he says, "Now that everyone's here, I will make my phone call. Now, who shall I call?" Kind of what? And he goes, "Should I call Mr. Strawberry?" But the warden looks like, what the fuck?
He looks really, really scared, doesn't he?
Yeah. Like, how does this guy know this? No, I don't think I'll call Mr. Strawberry. I don't think he's taking calls. Like, the warden's like, he goes, I know who to call. And he starts, like, typing out numbers rapidly. Now, this Cage Cooper's got some sort of powers, right? He's done the thing to the bloke's face, which might have killed that man, as far as we know. He might have just shot him afterwards, I don't know. But it's something about his hands. He can do stuff with his hands. Be it control electrical devices or, touch people and affect them. Don't you think that's how I felt?
Yeah.
It could be just tech, because he was just typing out a number rapidly and, like, the lights start flashing, don't they? The alarms start ringing. I noticed the screens on the screens in the control room that the warden's watching him start flicking to TV channels, which made me laugh. And another guy says, "How's he doing this?" So they kind of know that he's done this.
I took it more like he's programmed. Like, when we saw the glass box in the first couple of episodes, and all of the kind of electrical equipment underneath, that he's kind of programmed something, and he saw Cooper with that briefcase and the strange devices.
Yeah.
He's hacked into everything.
Too, hasn't he?
Yeah, like weird tech as opposed to supernatural stuff. But I mean, I could be completely wrong, but that's how I read it.
Communicating with his tech. You could be right. It could be more like the Joker, right? Than some sort of weird supernatural being. Anyway,
and the face thing, I just took that guy was so kind of scared of him and intimidated that he just stood there and let him do it. Yeah.
And again, he could have just shot him, so it might be nothing. But I just got a feeling he's got special powers of some sort. And then Cage Cooper says into the phone, "The cow jumps over the moon," and hangs up. And as soon as he hangs up, everything stops. It all goes back to normal, right? And then we just see Cage Cooper staring at the camera. The camera in the cell with him. So he's staring at the guys in the control room, right? Or that's how it looks. Right, so he finishes his phone call, but then we get this cut to the city of Buenos Aires, Argentina. Which goes back to this bare room with a light bulb and this weird communication device in a metal, like a copper bowl. That beeps like it's got an incoming call. And then the box changes into like this little metal slug thing, doesn't it? Well, slug in the sense of like a used bullet, not I shouldn't have used the word slug. A little piece of metal, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you what it was. It didn't look like a little square or anything. It was just like a lump of metal, right?
Yeah.
So he's done something, maybe. And then it cuts back to Dougie staring at the statue of the guy holding the gun. Like, it's even darker, and the security guard sort of says, "Move along." Interestingly, this didn't end in the usual way. We usually end with a song in the Bang Bang Bar, don't we? But this just... I mean, we had a bit of a song in the Bang Bang Bar when the creepy dude smoking was... or was his name Richard Horn?
Richard Horn.
Oh, mate, he might be Jerry's son, thinking about it. He was more like Jerry than Ben, actually, wasn't he? The security guard just says, "Move along, buddy. You can't loiter here." But it's a different, like I said, different ending. It's just Cooper standing there. Look, he's kind of holding the foot of the statue, isn't he? Like he's touching it.
Yeah.
Which reminded me a bit of like L'Age d'Or. The woman sort of caressing the foot of the statue. We get these jazzy end credits while Cooper just stands there looking at this statue. Twin Peaks seems obsessed to me with shoes or feet and rings. Rings and feet and rings. I don't know what it is, but there you go. So what was your overall thoughts?
Of the episode?
Yeah.
I agree that it lost a bit of footing, I believe. I mean, it was still engaging, but I wasn't as kind of taken with it as previous episodes.
I think one of the problems I'm exactly like you, exactly. One of the things I'm feeling is I'm kind of want to get back to Matthew Lillard. I really like that stuff. It's been 3 episodes now.
Do you want to know something that might upset you?
Go on then.
I don't think he's back in it.
You're kidding me.
Was he in 1 episode or 2?
Well, 2.
Was it 2? Yeah, he's credited as being in 2 episodes.
Oh, it might be. I think there's a lot with credit like that. I think that's only because they haven't been on, so they don't know who's in it. I think it might be that. I hope it might be that. That'd be a killer. Because I've seen loads of people, praising his performance. Great, yeah, he's like my favourite new character, I think.
Yeah,
apart from Tamara Preston, of course. But no, I think there's a very interesting story there. We yet to hear. It's interesting, his wife, the horrible wife there, reminded me a bit of Truman's wife. Which made me start to think that they're not being particularly. It feels slightly misogynistic. There's a slight misogynistic tinge in some of this. That I'm not
in the way that the female characters are represented.
The hectoring older wives. There's 2 older wives here who are both quite horrible, shrewish women.
Yep, and I think in the way that some of the younger girls seem to be manipulated or victims, like we saw in the bar.
Yeah,
and either Amanda Seyfried's character, she's clearly, you say she looks happy, which is really interesting because I didn't get that. It seemed to me that her only kind of happiness was the euphoria from taking the drugs.
Yeah, it could be that. No, I detected a hint of there's someone here who's feels good about where she's at that particular point, but it could be the drugs. I'm feeling a bit. I don't really want to pursue that too much because this is David Lynch, right? He does. It's too. Not easy. It's too direct to just sort of throw that out. Because he does some really interesting things. There's some filmmakers, the way they sort of handle female characters are quite complex. You can make the same case for sort of Lars von Trier, maybe, right? And stuff like that.
And, we're 5 hours in, which seems like a lot of time, but also we've got a hell of a way to go, so
yeah.
I'm really interested to see how these characters pan out. That's the thing here, and I'll say that for it, because... as you said, with the first and second season, we have quite a lot of time spent with central characters. It seems to be that in this series, we're getting a lot of kind of small, subplots and storylines with characters that we're spending hardly any time with.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to see where the kind of storylines go that we are following long term.
Yeah, I'm really interested in what the mix is actually between Lynch's writing and Mark Frost's writing. Or in fact, does Lynch do any of the writing? Does he just take whatever Mark Frost says and either cut out what he doesn't want to do or modify what he doesn't want to do directly, or just run with it? It's kind of interesting. Jacoby, I detected, was Mark Frost, pure and simple, for example. Just having a bit of fun. But some of it, I'm really not sure. The bit with Richard Horne in the bar felt to me much more like Lynch.
Yes,
because it channeled a lot of his movies. That whole scene, as I say, Bobby Peru and Frank Booth. It was that kind of character. It's an interesting one. It's funny that we've probably talked about this one more than any others. It was like the least happened. But yeah, we have talked about a lot of the nature of like what Cage Cooper might be and stuff like that. So obviously we did the feedback too. So that's part of it too, right? Okay, I'll tell you. Is there anything else you want to do, or should we get to rating?
No, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah. So what would you rate this one?
I would rate this one at 7.
7. Now, I think I underrated some of the episodes early on. I was giving 7s out for the first few. I think I underrated them. However, I've decided what I'm going to do is keep consistent with that and at some point maybe re-rate them all. But if I was consistent with that scoring, which I'm going to be, I'm going to give this one a 5. And that's not to say I thought it was bad. I just thought it was weak. I think it's the weakest one of all the ones we've seen. I still think there was some good stuff in it. The Jacoby stuff was amazing, and stuff like that. And there was some interesting, and the Amanda Seyfried, the face acting, sure, that whole scene I thought was really good. But the rest of it was a bit sluggish for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we did find out a bit more. We know it was Major Briggs. And Doug is somehow tied with that as well. So these plot threads are coming together slowly, right? Honestly, I kind of feel a bit sad because I'm pretty sure Dougie's not coming back at all. I'm kind of sad about that because I wanted to see more of Dougie. Yeah. Okay, let's wind it up there. So next time on Twin Peaks Log, I think we'll be doing episode 6, right? We're going to not quite get to the secret history yet, but sometime soon.
Yeah.
So episode 6 next time. So I'll tell you what, bye from me.
Bye from me.
And until next time on the Twin Peaks Log.